This is Oatley Park, a recreational reserve and wetlands located on the Georges River just south of Sydney. It houses an abundance of amazing plant and animal life and offers a unique gateway into the natural bushland found in Australia. Today we aim to explore the entire park, from beaches to bushwalks and many other cool places in the area. Finally, we will visit the Lime Kiln Wetlands and discover its importance to the local waterways and their ecosystems. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. And just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel to see more. Well, we're going to start here today, right near the entrance at Oatley Park Oval. As you can see, it is a field for soccer players and football players as well, and is home to the Oatley West soccer and football teams. A little fun fact for you, I actually played for their team back in the day when I was a very young fellow. Alright, let's continue to our next location. Alright, we moved down from the oval here and have a set of maps and a key and information on the local area here. So we'll start with the map. We're near the entrance here, near the oval. And then you have the information here on walking trails, different places of interest and facilities as well. From here we're going to continue on to the next spot. Right near the entrance here to Oatley Park, there is a little memorial and a lone pine tree, which was apparently grown from a seed collected from the lone pine in Gallipoli. Here's the memorial. Apparently it's one of two trees that grew from pine cones obtained from Gallipoli, and it was planted here in 1920 by Owen Jones Davies. Move back a little bit to get a great shot of this magnificent tree. Just here we have the lone pine. Here we are at Steamroller Park, and there are an absolute array of things to do here. There are a whole bunch of facilities here at Steamroller Park. We have push to start barbecues, tables and chairs, undercover areas as well, and of course the play areas. As you can see from a lot of these activity areas within the park here, they're all very natural. A lot of the items are simply just made out of cut trees, sandstone blocks, which is also integrated with items like the flying fox and the huge play equipment over this end. And that was all designed to help the children connect with nature and have a natural playground to play in. Steamroller Park was first made into a playground in 1972 after requests from the local people for an area to play at the park here. And the initial play area included a steamroller, hence the name. And here we have the steamroller. I believe this is a legitimate original steamroller from back in the day. I wasn't able to find specific information on how old the steamroller is, but it is pretty cool. There are a huge amount of walking trails around the park as a whole, as well as just the play equipment. And there are tables and chairs littered throughout the area as well. Even if you can't get a hold of a chair, there are heaps of sandstone blocks to sit on and have a picnic that way. And it's all encased in this beautiful natural Australian bushland, which is becoming more and more rare around the city areas. Here we have part of the play equipment made out of actual logs of wood. Of course, again, we're featuring the 12-meter high area, which would make this slide right next to it probably around 11 meters in height, which is also really cool. Anyway, from here we're going to move on to our next location, which should be the castle. We've made a quick stop off here, a tiny little car park on top of a hill, and we have a cool view of the Georges River here. So up on this cliff, we're actually a little bit higher than where the castle is. So from here we will backtrack towards the castle. Alright, we're at the car park here, right near the castle. Although it does look like it is reserved today. There are some information boards out front that we can have a quick look at. Image of the castle, we'll get better ones than that. And the information here is talking about when-ish the construction here of Oatley Castle was completed. It was supposedly after 1935. Most of the work around Oatley Park was actually done during the Great Depression under the Unemployment Relief Scheme, which gave the opportunity for people who were unemployed during the Great Depression to work for pay, basically. And they went through the park and added the roads, the walking trails, and started on this castle. However, funding ceased at one point and they had to stop the construction before the roof was added. Apparently that was laid in several years later and is just flat concrete. And here we are on the roof of the castle. There is opportunity for great views here. However, there is a lot of tree coverage in front of it. So we actually have the Georges River just through the trees there. Look closely at the architecture here, you can see how old it really is. Missing mortar. And saying that, it feels pretty cool. From here we can see the side of the castle and not get any of the people in it. There you are, that's the structure there. It is reserved, as you can see. Really cool. Just here we have a bit more information on the history of Oatley Park. It was a special recreation area within the City Hurstville Council area, and it was created as a recreation park in 1887, but it was actually named Pecos Park because of the Pecos land grant of the time. The name was only changed to Oatley Park in 1922 when the area here started expanding. Next is the history of the area of Oatley, who was apparently named after James Oatley. Curiously, he was a convict in 1814 for stealing 2 featherbed mattresses. He was sentenced to death, but then was transported to Australia to live out the term. Apparently, he was a clockmaker and watchmaker, and was appointed the keeper of the town clocks at one point. Apparently, he also was allowed to set up his own shop in George Street, near where Sydney Town Hall now is, and the clock at Hyde Park Barracks, the clock he installed, was used on the $10 note. So there you go. The last little bit of information here is about Lime Kiln Bay. Apparently shells from Aboriginal middens were burnt here in lime kilns to produce lime for mortar used in Sydney buildings in the early days of the colony. There you go. That part of it's kind of sad, to be honest. From here we'll continue down to the riverfront. Alrighty. From here we can head down to Sandy Bay, also known as Jewfish Bay. And this has some historical significance to Oatley Park as well. And here we have Jewfish Bay. We also have behind me here the men's dressing rooms for the original surf club. The area here has long been used as a swimming area for the local people, but there was no record of when the area was actually first used. An application for the area to become an official bathing site was submitted in 1919, but the area had already been used for many years. Only 8 years later, the Oatley Swimming Club was formed. The whole area here is actually sectioned off for swimming. There are the nets covering a huge stretch of area here, and you've got sandy, muddy areas along 2 little bits of bay. Hopefully you can see here all the little crabs. They're scurrying along into their homes as I walk past. We just started copping a little bit of rain, so I'm gonna chill under undercover area here and continue with the history that was on the board from earlier. So Oatley Park is a half-kilometre squared reserve located on the Georges River in the southern Sydney suburb of Oatley. 3 sides of the area here are surrounded by the Georges River, and it forms a peninsula that sticks out from the area that is Oatley. As you might imagine, it is a go-to spot for people walking and cycling, as well as having picnics and playing at the play areas, and coming down to the water's edge here swimming, as well as fishing. The land here was first dedicated for public recreation in 1887. Apparently there are remnants here of World War II army camps. In 1942, the park served as a temporary accommodation for about 250 soldiers. Several buildings were assembled here, such as mass tent, kitchen, showers, and storehouses. And apparently there are some foundations to be found within the park. However, so far today, I haven't been able to come across these. Well guys, it is still spitting at me a little bit, as in there's a little bit of rain. However, we are going to keep walking along bayfront here and see if we can get some other cool views. If you look out across the bay, straight in the middle, there is a bridge across the water there, and that is actually a train bridge that transports people through the areas near Oatley. I know this area of the Georges River isn't that far from the ocean. That also makes me think that the areas here might be quite decent for fishing. So there would be a lot of seafaring fish, such as brim, flathead, whiting, and tailor. You might be able to hook yourself something nice. You can really see behind me here as I'm walking along the shorefront that there is literally just natural bush right next to the shoreline here. It really is like a little pocket of Australia's natural bush here, and it really allows you to have a place to step away from the hustle and bustle of the city life and enjoy a walk through nature. Here we have an awesome view of the netted area. So on the right side here obviously is where it would be safe for swimming. Anywhere on the left here, there is a small chance of finding sharks because it is open to the ocean. If you're coming out here to swim, I would highly recommend you stay within the netted areas. We're just coming to the other end of the netted area as such, and they have a jetty here. You can go out onto the water. I feel like jetties are a nice place to fish from, and this is no exception. It gives you a bit more depth, but also keeps you safe off the rocks. Nice. Anyway, from here I was hoping to take the headland track, which it starts right here. Headland track marker. You could have come down this way, but I've gone along the water's edge and it continues this direction. Let's go around this track and see what we can see. We'll get some really nice views of the area. On top of that, it should take us to a few of our next locations, such as the 2 lookouts. Now, as we're clambering through the bush here, I will inform you that apparently there are over 300 species of plant life to be found just in Oatley Park. And on top of that, there's supposed to be about 110 species of birds as well that have been recorded over the many years. As we know with birds though, they are extremely hard to capture on a GoPro, but we will endeavour to capture a few of these dainty fellas as we walk through the trails here. Something rather interesting about this walk is there are mile markers, or kilometre markers in Australia. This is already the 4th one, and it's got an exact kilometre reading and a QR code as well. Right next to this is also the way up to one of the lookouts, which you can see right now. Wow, we made it. Quite a trek up that hill. But we're here at Webster's Lookout, apparently named after James Daniel Webster, an engineer. Not bad. Let's check it out. Ooh, not bad. That's quite a nice view of the Georges River out there. Speaking of, we've been to several places along the Georges River as of now, ranging from Cibbo's Beach all the way up the river to Saltpan Creek and a few places in between. The most prominent of which is probably our video at Liverpool Weir. The link will be above. Feel free to watch that after watching this video. Well, from here, I'm actually going to walk to the next lookout and then return down back to the Headland Walk. That would be the best way to make sure we get a full experience. We're just near like a parking area of the Webster Lookout here, and we've got a set of tables and chairs with a really cool feature. A set of chess or checkerboards built into the tables. That would be a nice place to have a game of chess with a mate. Anyway, let's continue along the road here to the next lookout. Now, as you can see here, there's actually 3 lanes along this road. You've got the walking lane, the cycling lane, and the driving lane. And just here we have the Hills Peak Lookout. So down off the road, you come down a little path going towards the lookout. Both lookouts are pretty nice, but I have to comment on this really strange railing. It feels like a weird picket fence, and half of these have been yanked off. Like over here, every second one's been pulled off. It kind of disrupts my view. I mean, if you can see, it is the same height as I am. Bit annoying. Anyway, the other lookout's nicer anyways, guys. Go there first. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna make our way back down to the trail. Continue our way around the headland loop and see what else we can see. Here we have a local banksia. Seeds all ready to drop. Got some cockatoos up in the trees. Straight up there. Say out loud. Just in the gap of the trees here, you should be able to see a section of the river that's very shallow. And out there, there are still remnants of an oyster farm. And apparently Oatley was known for in the past for its vast amount of oyster farming. Uh-oh, we got some serious stairs here. As you can hear, the wind is really picking up. Well, the whole works today. It was super sunny, it's been raining, now it's so windy I can barely even hold the camera still. That's Australia for you, mates. Through the trees here on the other side of the riverbank there are little vertical pieces of wood sticking out from the mud. I do believe these are oyster traps. I think we're coming to the end of the trail here. I think we're joining up with the road. How do I get back to where I want to be? Apparently, we're really close to the castle here. This is the big intersection of Oatley. 6 roads all connect here, and the castle is just down that way. Alright, we've done a nice loop here. We came back to where the castle is. It's right behind me there. From here we're going to move on to our kind of last location here, which is the infamous Wetlands. I've actually picked up my car again to go to Lime Kiln, and there's supposed to be a road down to a little roundabout down by the bottom here, but it is shut. That's really annoying. It's gonna save me a lot of extra time. So there is a second entrance to Lime Kiln walking track, and that's where I'm going to go. So I'll be there in a minute. Found it. The restoration of Lime Kiln Bay Wetlands. That is where we're going. Alrighty. So we're going to start here by checking out this very first bridge. Now, whilst this may look like an ordinary bridge, it actually serves an important purpose for the wetlands here. Sorry, we couldn't see under the bridge from that side, so we'll go back around to the original side here. So basically the bridge there goes through, and all the water that comes through gets filtered here to take out the big bits of rubbish and any leaf litter that gets dragged down in the rain from all the surrounding areas. And then the wetlands serve to clean the water. So this is the first stage of the cleansing, and then later on it gets filtered further. Oh wow, look at that. There's the tree there, the water dragon. I've been looking for one for ages. Look at that. Beautiful. Awesome, we've seen a water dragon. I looked away for 1 second and he's gone, so don't come running up my legs, Sonny Jim, thank you. So the map here shows the whole loop around Lime Kiln Bay's wetlands area. We are around here, and we're going to take a walk down past the sediment ponds towards where the loop of the Oatley Park was supposed to join, and then a quick loop around the back as well. The sign here has information on each part. The most important parts are 5 and 6, the sediment pond and the pollutant trap. Well, the pollutant trap is right where we are, the filter we saw earlier, and the sediment pond is the next main part of the scheme here. Look at that, I was just walking past and there's another water dragon just on the rock here, sunning himself. That's 2 in about 2 minutes. That is cool. Now through the wetlands here, there are supposed to be an abundance of animal life and bird life as well, and I'm hoping we get to see even more of that as we go through. I just wanted to show you a sign here about potential upgrades to the area here as well. They're suggesting new upgrades to increase the amount of water that can be filtered here, I believe. Just coming across a bridge here, and we can kind of see how dark and murky this water is before the sediment has been taken out of it. I'm not sure if you can see past the reflections, but it looks pitch black. Oh, and we've got a family of duckies coming along just over there. By crikey, I was just leaning over the edge of the railing here, and look at this fella on the side of the thing. I didn't even see him. He was camouflaged into it. But there's yourself another water dragon. That is number 3. It looks like throughout these walks there are going to be information boards about the local animals. Here we have an information board on a few of the most common birds. I think on my right here might be the sediment pond we were talking about. So you can see out there, there's a sediment pond and a whole bunch of reeds that help filter out the water. Get a little bit closer here without disturbing anything. So out there and all the way along. There are plenty of reeds and other plants, all designed to help filter the water. Information on the water plants. Somebody's put some planks to walk across here. Let's see how we go along the tight walk. Oh look, there's another hen. A few of them in amongst the plant life here. Now this part of the track actually loops around to where we've already been, and we want to do the entire loop, so I'm going to go back across. Now for reference, if you do want to do this entire walk, it takes around 50 minutes according to the maps. The walk also features many areas that have seating, where you can sit down and have a relax on your walk, take a break, have a feed, whatever you need. I'm sure you can see already the differences and the array of plant life, especially in here. Right here we've got pine trees. Opposite me we have gum trees, stringy barks. Back on this side again there are reeds. On this side there's grass. It's really crazy. I've only continued for about a minute and you can already see all the reeds are gone. And we've moved into the mangrove area here. Now in terms of the cleansing of the water, this section here should be getting towards fully cleansed. And I believe the mangroves help treat the water. You can see all the mangroves sticking out of the ground over here. Here we have a bit more information. This one is about the mangroves themselves. They're important to the ecosystems because 80% of what fish eat depend in the mangroves. And there are two main types here. The biggest and main type of mangrove being the grey mangrove, which is where you see the roots sticking up from the water. And here's the link up to Oatley Park that I was looking to use. You should have been able to come down there and start your walk from here. It was closed off, made my walk a little bit longer as you can tell, but we've made it here anyway, so we'll continue from here. Here we have a cool view of the Daly Creek, which is the creek that runs through Lime Kiln Bay here. You can see it kind of digs out and curves around to the left here, all the way out to the Georges River. You can also see all the lovely birds eating from the mangroves here. You got ducks and ibis in view right now. You could probably also tell from the water here that it is much cleaner than it was just a few hundred meters away. Now as you can see with this deep channel in the mangroves, all of this area is actually man-made. It was made in 2001 and cost $1.2 million to complete. And it was all designed to help the local waterways stay unpolluted. And that is why they have the filter that filters out the big pollutants, then the sediment ponds that slowly filter out through this area here, all the way to the Georges River. But that is pretty damn cool. And a bit of a way to give back to the environment, because I do believe there was degradation of the environments around here, and this was all designed to try and counteract that. As we continue our walk around this side of the wetlands, we go past a few places of interest, such as Hurstville's golf course, and then there'll be two lookouts on the way back as well. So we've just come up the stairs, going to continue our way along the rest of the loop walk, which appears like it'll be from a higher vantage point. Wow, here we have some beautiful boardwalks through the mangroves. You can really see all the mangrove roots sticking up from the ground. And remember that all of this in high tide should be underwater, which is in itself quite fascinating. I'm just walking past the edge of the golf course here. There's a little bit of building structure here with a very worn out sign saying that it's a wastewater treatment plant. The sign, can barely read it. There's the plant. I don't know how it works or whatever because I can't read it properly, but interesting. Now we've got to figure out where to continue. It's actually a little bit confusing right now which way to go to continue the walk. So I'm not wanting to go to the street, I want to continue around to the lookout. This doesn't really look right. There's a road going up the hill, but I'm gonna try a little trail I've seen. Hopefully it is the right one. So just up from the treatment plant here is a trail. It's not marked on Google Maps. This was marked on the maps provided by the council, however. Not 100% sure, but this does feel like it's going in the right direction at least. This is my lookout. Compared to the other lookout, this one is so short. And I see absolutely nothing worth it here. Guess we'll just keep going. Holy boy, we're continuing along. This side of the trail is full of steps and increases and decreases, and look at this cool rock formation. Well, that bridge is familiar, but clearly I've missed another lookout, but that's okay. So here we are back at the first pollutant filter, and we've done the entire loop. Woohoo! There's a huge water dragon just on the top of the filter here. Look at that big fella. Well, that is pretty cool. Good on you, bud. I'm going. Well, alrighty guys. We're pretty much done here today with Oatley Park and the nearby wetlands. And I have to say, Oatley Park is pretty damn nice. I like the aspect of the Australian bush that's present throughout the whole park, and the fact that it has a waterfront as well is really nice. On top of that, it has an array of walking tracks and other facilities like the playgrounds, barbecues, picnic tables, the water's edge, the beach, the ability to go swimming, areas to go fishing from as well. Yeah, very nice. The Lime Kiln Wetlands on the side of Oatley Park. Also very interesting to learn about what it was made for, basically. Designed to help pollutants get taken out of the water before it reaches the Georges River. I'm surprised that more of the creeks around the areas here don't have this, or perhaps they do and they're just little known. In saying that, the entire walk seemed a little unnecessary. The one side of the walk, the latter side that we looked at today, kind of not much to see. You got to see the mangroves, which was nice, but then the rest of the walking trail was more effort than views, I think. Especially the lookout. I mean, I don't know what we're looking out at really. So I would say if you're coming out here and wanting to walk around and learn about the wetlands, start from where we were today, and when you get to just past the Oatley Park bend and across the bridge, I would say from there you can easily return back before you get to the stairs and have a better experience overall. The thing I like most about both of these areas is the natural feel They feel like you've walked into the Australian bush. Yes, there is a little bit of man-made structure in both of these areas, but overall it feels really, really natural. And it was cool to see all the plant life and a few animals today as well. Animals and birds. Awesome. Now just a quick reminder to check out my Australian waterways, rivers and dams playlist, which you can see above. There we go to a lot of similar places to where we've been today along the Georges River and other waterways in New South Wales. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me today on this exploration video. Leave a like on the video, comment down below and hit subscribe to support the channel, and we will catch you the next time we venture out.